to the present day, arsenicum has been one of the most frequently indicated medicines, and one of the most extensively used. In the old school it is most extensively abused, in the form of Fowler's solution. Arsenic affects every part of man. It seems to exaggerate or depress almost all his faculties, to excite or disturb all his functions. When all our medicines have been as well proved, we will effect wonderful cures. It is a substance easily proved because of its active nature, and from its very abuse we have learned much of its general nature. While arsenic impresses the whole economy and disturbs all the functions and tissues of man, there are certain prevailing and striking features in it. Anxiety, restlessness, prostration, burning and cadaveric odors are prominent characteristics. The surface of the body is pale, cold, clammy, and sweating, and the aspect is cadaveric. In chronic sickness with great debility, anemia, from long exposure to malarial influence, in the poorly fed and from syphilis, this remedy is of great service. The anxiety that is found in ours is intermingled with fear, with impulses, with suicidal inclinations, with sudden freaks and with mania. It has delusions and various kinds of insanity, in the more active form, delirium and excitement. Sadness prevails to a great extreme. So sad that he is weary of life, he loathes life, and wants to die, and the arsenic patient does commit suicide. It is a remedy full of suicidal tendencies. The anxiety takes form also in the restlessness, in which he constantly moves. If he is able to get up, he goes from chair to chair, the child goes from nurse to mother, and from one person to another. When in bed, unable to sit up, the patient tosses and turns from side to side. If he is able, he climbs out of bed and sits in the chair, keeps moving from one place to another, and, when thoroughly exhausted, he gets back into bed again. The restlessness seems to be mostly in the mind. It is an anxious restlessness, or an anguish with the idea that anguish is a deathly anxiety. That is an effort to express it in the extreme. It seems that he cannot live, and it is not pain that drives him to anguish, but it is an anxiety intermingled with restlessness and sadness. This state prevails in all diseases intermingled with prostration. An uneasiness comes in the early state of disease, and lasts but until the prostration becomes marked. While lying in bed, at first he moves his whole body, moves himself in bed and out of bed, but the prostration becomes so marked that he is able to move only his limbs until at last he becomes so weak that he is no longer able to move and he lies in perfect quiet in extreme prostration. It seems that prostration takes the place of anxiety and restlessness, and he appears like a cadaver. So remember that these states of anxiety and restlessness go towards the cadaveric aspect, towards death. This is seen, for instance, in the typhoid, where arsenicum is indicated. At first there is that anxious restlessness with fear, but the increasing weakness tends towards prostration. Running all through the remedy there is the burning mentioned as one of its most marked generals. There is burning in the brain, which makes him want to wash his head in cold water. This sensation of heat in the inner head with pulsation is ameliorated by the cold bathing, but when there is a rheumatic state that affects the scalp and outward nerves, and there is burning, the burning then is ameliorated by heat. When the headache is of a congestive character, with the sensation of heat and burning inside the head, and there is a feeling as if the head would burst, and the face is flushed and hot, that headache is better from cold applications and in the cool open air. So marked is this that I have seen the patient sitting in the room with clothing piled on to keep the body warm and with the window open to relieve the congestion of the head. Therefore, we say a striking feature belonging to this medicine is relief of all the complaints of the head by cold, except the external complaints of the head, which are better from heat and from wrapping up. The neuralgias of the face and eyes, and above the eyes, are better from heat. The burning is felt in the stomach. There is burning in the bladder, in the vagina, in the lungs. It feels as if coals of fire were in the lungs at times, when gangrenous inflammation is threatened, and in certain stages of pneumonia. There is burning in the throat and burning in all the mucous membranes. The skin burns with itching, and he scratches until the skin is raw, and then it burns, but the itching ceases. As soon as the smarting lets up a trifle, the itching commences again.